Steak and chips take on many forms, and I'm going to show you my version, serving this with a mustard and cream sauce. Now, what makes this really stand out is I'm going to be adding some hot English mustard. It's not going to be overpowering, it's just going to be perfectly balanced. So for the steak, I'm going to be using skirt steak. I've brought it out of the fridge. I want it to come to room temperature. I'm also going to start the sauce now. So I've just put the heat on a medium to small saucepan. Into that, I'm going to add a piece of butter, just a small amount, about 10 grams of butter, and we want to melt that away. This is a lovely, rich, sort of piquant sauce with the mustards in it. 1 to 2 French shallots, and I've finely chopped them. They can go in with our butter. We don't want to get too much colour on them, so you want to constantly stir them and just allow them to almost melt away and sweat slightly. While they're cooking, we can start preparing our steak. So a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. And because I'm going to be grilling this, I don't like to add the oil to the grill pan. So always oil and season your meat first and then start grilling it. To this, we'll add a good pinch of salt on one side, some freshly cracked pepper, turn it over, and a drizzle on this side. And again, more salt and some pepper. It looks like a lot of salt, but we do want it to form a lovely crust. This is going to feed about 2 hungry people, 2 to 3, so that's about 500 grams. Now I'm just waiting for my grill to get really hot. In the meantime, let's finish off this sauce. So this is softened down nicely, and I'll deglaze this pan with some white wine. Good splash in there. This is going to give it that beautiful sweet perfume of the white wine without that alcohol flavour. So let that bubble away. This is hot, so on with our steak. So you want to serve this rare to medium rare. So it's going to take a few minutes on each side. So on with the steak. Oh, love the sound of the sizzle. And because I love my steak with chippies, we've got to have some chippies. So this is just a Sebago potato. I've cut it into little chips and then I've blanched it in some water. And by doing that, we're pretty much cooking the potatoes. Now we're just wanting them to go crispy. So I've got some vegetable oil. It's piping hot. We want it to be about 180 degrees. And I'm going to add a portion of these spuds. When you're working with hot oil, best to get close to it as opposed to being afraid and splashing it. It'll go everywhere. It's very dangerous. So close to the oil and just very carefully lower your chippies in. Okay, that's enough for one portion. Just going to keep an eye on them until they go really, really crispy. Now this is reduced and it smells beautiful. So now time for the cream. I'm using some thickened cream, a good splash in there. So we'll wait for this sauce to bubble and thicken up. And once this meat is cooked, always remember, it needs to rest. All right, I've removed the steak off the grill and it's just resting. And look at these chippies. You want to wait for the very last minute to take them out of the oil so they stay nice and hot as we serve them up. Nothing beats a homemade chip. Last few, and we'll turn that oil off. So they can just sit there for a moment while I just finish off the sauce and also make a salad to go with it. So because we've got that rich creamy sauce, you want something to be slightly bitter to break through it. So I've got some whitloaf, also called endive. We're going to roughly chop that. Bitter winter greens, you could use some rocket, whatever salad you want really. And I'm not going to be too fussed with it. I'm just going to roughly chop everything. So these leaves, we'll cut the top off it. I love that purple colour too, so we'll just break those leaves in there and dress it very, very simply. A squeeze of lemon, very small squeeze of lemon, pinch of salt and some olive oil. So you never want to serve a salad that's undressed, so just dress them even if it's just very lightly. We'll pop that onto our plate, just on one side. And all these flavours just go so nicely together. All right, back to our sauce. Now you can see how thick and how much that cream has reduced. I've just got this on a very low heat. See all those little bubbles? I don't want it to be rapidly boiling, just a gentle bubble like this. And now we can whisk in our mustard. So to start with, a generous portion of Dijon mustard, which is much milder than our hot English. Now this is to taste. It really depends on how you like your sauce. I want this to be piquant, so I'm adding about half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of that hot English mustard. Whisk that in, we'll turn the heat off, and that's our beautiful mustard sauce. And this is delicious with the skirt steak, but also wonderful with chicken. So with a skirt steak, you'll see that the fibres go one way. See how there's like little lines going this way? You never want to be cutting your steak this way because it'll be tough. So we want to go against the grain. So we're going to cut beautiful thick slices this way. So nice and thick. Look how juicy this meat is. That's what we're after. Nice and pink in the centre. And onto our plate. Spread that out so we can see how perfectly cooked it is. And our chippies, a nice pile of them. Look how crispy they are. Before I do add them to the plate, always season with some salt. And we'll just pile them up. And now for this wonderful sauce that goes with our steak. Mustard sauce, thick so it just coats my spoon. And we'll drizzle that just down the centre. Not all over the steak, we really want to show how perfectly cooked that is. And there you have it. Steak with creamy mustard sauce and some chippies. Of course, don't forget that obligatory salad.